What up, guys? BobbyGitr Hansen here. Played Champagne Ice Bowl the other day. My forehand was feeling a little off. So today we're going to play a little bit of forehand versus backhand. Check it out. What up, guys? BobbyGitr Hansen here. Thought I'd do a little commentary on this to make it sound a little more interesting. But that throw speaks for itself. For those of you watching, the main purpose of this is for me to basically play with some video editing software. And what better way than to edit together a casual round. But as you can see from the title sequence, what I'm doing here is a round of backhand versus forehand. And I got super lucky. Really lucky on that one. It was a little cold out this particular day, a little windy. But I still managed to can the 20-ish footer. All right, just snuck it in there. Practice putting, kids. And so starting out the gate, forehand and backhand are tied quickly at 1 under. On a lot of these, you'll see that I wrote 200-ish feet. That's because there's quite a few in the shorts layout that are just around 200-ish feet. I don't think any of them are shorter than 200 feet, but they're not much more.
Pretty good.
That's one of my many attempts at using Zoom in Adobe Premiere. Always fun to learn new softwares. You always got to challenge yourselves, guys. Pew! Yeah, so my first two forehands just looked ugly. Did hit the pole with that one, but... 2-2. Alright, so, you know, have you ever done that thing where you think you just stopped the recording, but you actually started the recording, so then when you thought you started the recording, you actually stopped the recording? So I had a good minute-long chunk of me walking to a tee-pad, and then I must have stopped the recording for the drives. All's well, though. I was able to figure out by looking at the videos which was which. Nice putt there. I'll just tap this in for my par. Alright, and that was, in fact, a good putt by backhand, which was just a little bit closer. Neither of those drives were very good. But we move on. Hole 4 is 240-ish feet. I am ripping on a Infinite Discs Ruin, and spoiler, I didn't throw it great. And the bag actually fell over that my phone was sitting on. So that's why we didn't see the forehand drive, was because the camera was facing the ground. Couple attempts from some bad drives. Hole 4 is one of those ones you want to be getting almost every time. But if you don't commit to your shot, there's a lot of places you can end up. Alright, so I left that in there. That's me picking up a disc that was much closer. I did have a couple funsy throws, and I left that in there as proof that all of these shots are real. They are my first take, nothing like that. Which is nothing too impressive. I didn't shoot all that good today. except for one hole. And if somebody can guess which hole I actually secretly edited in the mulligan throws, I don't know, I'll give you a prize or something. Yank this one, but the wind is pushing enough that it works its way over, but it is...
We're gonna tie it back up, maybe?
Right about there. Okay, so forehand, I tried to throw a little Annie, and it just crashed early. So this is me trying to do a forehand upshot with my putter from a knee while holding a phone. And then, just to be lazy, continued filming it through my putts. It was fun. I don't recommend trying to do it in tournament play, but if you're playing by yourself, you know, it's okay to have fun. Yeah, yanked that one a little.
Not the best, but not thrown.
Put it kind of close. I was throwing my Valor there. I meant to throw it quite a bit straighter, but cold, slippery days, sometimes you don't throw your best throws. So the disc I'm throwing here is the Legacy Vengeance, which flies a lot like a Thunderbird. And I'm going to be honest, I'm having trouble figuring out how much power to put into it, because I've sawed them off and I've overturned them, and I haven't found quite that sweet spot. Backhand, they fly very much like a faster rival kind of disc, so I like it a lot, backhand. Just hasn't clicked with me for forehand all the time yet, but we'll get there. Once again, expert cinematography here. I do think the angle at the basket's very cool, but you know. So a whole bunch of pars there. Alright, what are we throwing here? Oh, like I said, it's a little cold and windy, so I decided to disc up to throw a rival instead of a mid. I just kind of yanked it, but it kind of worked out. It flips up a little. It kind of crashes in. It's probably barely within the circle. Alright, this is a new outlaw I just put in the bag. And just didn't commit to the shot I wanted to throw. That was a bit of a motif I found while editing this. There's quite a few times where I know I was yelling at myself, just commit to this shot. And I know I say it out loud at some point, like hole 9 or 10, I think. Just gotta commit. That one was okay. See, again, I just kind of sawed it off a little. I'm flicking the Infinite Discs Ruin here. If you want a zone-like disc, but the zone never clicked for you, you got to try one of these puppies, because they're pretty decent. Alright, so this is from that backhand shot. And this is like a little more than 20 feet out. Probably doesn't show from the video, but like it was a tester. I was not 100% sure I was going to make it, and then I stepped up. I was like, yeah, you just bang this one. And then the forehand, of course, a little bit closer. And that's how you should play that hole. Hole 8 is the easiest hole on the course by any stretch of the imagination. So you're always kicking yourself if you don't get that one. And again, just didn't commit to the angles. If there's a lesson to be learned here, guys, it's commit to the angle. See? He said it. Alright. flicking my overstable Team Rise Above Legend Pursuit here. Committed to the angle, and it was parked. It got a little closer to the trees than I was intending, but as long as it hits the line and gets through. I thought I gave that one a pretty good bid, but that was right around probably 40-ish feet. Alright, and you'll see me, here's my putt for forehand pink. Alright, good stuff. Alright, and just like that, forehand has tied it back up at 5 under. So, forehand taking the box, flicking that same blue pursuit from before. That's pretty good. Alright, this is my team stamped infinite discs ruin. If you ever play with me, a lot of times you'll see me stretching on the tee pad through the round. Again, just didn't quite commit. That one at least held flat for a little while, so it got good enough there. Alright, I left this in here. This is not the mulligan shot I spoke of. This is just me throwing a funsy extra to make sure I commit to the angle. And if you commit to the angle, it parks it. So, do that, guys. Commit to the angle. So, this is me not taking that awesome shot. Boo. Again, this shot would have been cooler if I would have like moved the camera just a little to the right. But from downtown, that was too early. There it is. That was a long, and I was pretty proud of that one. Since I was off camera, there's no way for you, the viewer, to know how long that was. So I'm going to say it was 1,100 feet throw-in. You don't know. Alright, so film didn't catch this at all, but I will admit to you, that went real far, but it held way too much of an ante. It actually hit the big tree over by hole 10, like right about the base, and had a weird like 30-foot skip left. So I ended up way in hole 10's fairway on that flick. I was proud of this one too. It got pretty well up there. I'd say Infinite Discs Pharaoh. If you ever want to throw something really far, throw a Pharaoh. This is that same Outlaw from earlier that I mentioned. Just trying to get used to it. My favorite Outlaw was getting a little bit too beat in for what I needed it to do in the bag, so just looking for a bit more stability, but you still kind of got to get the feel for it.
Which is always absolutely my goal. From here, I should have a pretty simple putter toss-up, which is all I ever want on this hole.
Alright, so yeah, like I was saying, any local knows there's a little tree that's most of the way up the fairway, and anytime you're even with that, you're feeling pretty good about life. So that's about where I'm throwing this from. I'm throwing my Legacy Closer. And just a little pitch up shot. I actually sawed it off a little bit,
Good enough, not what I was trying
so I didn't quite hit the line I wanted to there. Left myself a bit of a tester, but anytime you have a putt on hole 11, you know, this is just kind of this is a hole you want to get your par and walk away. Yeah, so didn't put my flick close enough, or I didn't putt it good enough, however you want to put it. Good putt. Alright, I hate playing this course and taking any bogeys, but sometimes they happen. Forehand drops back to -5 after that park job the hole before. So, backhand versus forehand. If you guys have a local course you play a lot, I just recommend coming up with little games to challenge yourself, because it helps you commit to your lines a little bit more, make it like little personal competitions, but also just ways to learn your discs better, learn your throws better. This hole, for instance, is not what you typically call a forehand hole. So it's a good chance to work on stuff like your anti-forehand and things like that. On top of that, though, I'd like to point out that I actually get fairly competitive with this. So at no point am I letting forehand or backhand win. Like, I'm really trying to have one beat the other. And I was pretty stoked about that throw. That's a legacy rival, and it just held that turn perfectly. Hooked up a little at the end, got a little tree love, and it was very close. All right, so this is that first throw. This was a pursuit. And nice, easy putt. That was a little farther than it looked, but and this one, right in there. Easy twos, if that is what actually had happened. Instead, here's what actually happened as I stepped up to my putt, was thinking about something silly, bonked it off the top, the disc throw, he gone. I left that in there for fun, because I enjoyed the putter throw. And the beautiful rival forehand takes a par. Guys, there are no easy putts. Alright, so that time I basically committed, but I held it a little too inside. It's down there, it's just a longer putt than what I really wanted. And this sets up very easily as a forehand hole. So, this here's my Infinite Discs Scepter. The Scepter is more or less just a very flat Firebird. And this particular plastic I know to be pretty skippy, so I just hang it out left, let it hook up, and it's in the circle. Alright, so I wanted to do some focus on this committing to the angle thing. So, my first backhand drive I wasn't too stoked on. This is me throwing a Legacy Valor, committing to it, hitting where I wanted to, and that one ended up parked. And, just because funsies, this is my Infinite Discs Anubis, which is my flippy mid for the bag. You should always have a flippy mid, but I held that one way inside the line I was trying to. And I actually ended up losing that disc somewhere in one of the trees. It had disappeared from view, so I don't even know which one it was actually up in, if any. So if you see a Infinite Discs Anubis out there, I wasn't too worried about it. I have another one. But still. Alright, so again we see forehand gaining a stroke on backhand. So if it hadn't been for that lapse of focus, forehand could have had a one-stroke lead now, but at least they've tied it back up. Here's another typically forehand hole. And that throw's good. You want it a little farther. This hole's hard to gauge because the ace line you have to spike in like perfectly. It's very easy to go too long, and you can get stuck behind some branches, making your comeback kind of difficult. So it's an easy hole, but you still have to commit to it. Famous putter Annie. Wanted that to hold the turn a little longer, but anyway. We're going to speed through this. I dink a couple putts. It looks awful. None of these I even gave a chance for birdie. Right about now, in my defense, my phone had started to say like 10% power remaining. And I was thinking to myself, well, this isn't going to last much longer. Let's just see if we can get to the end. But I started rushing a little. This hole, you can kind of see, was not ideal tee pads. I'm flicking a Infinite Discs Aztec here. It's a great disc, but didn't quite commit enough. I didn't want to slip. That spot of concrete you see was the only concrete on the entire pad that was not ice. So the footing here is a little awkward. Ripped it as best I could. I wanted that a little flatter. And again, just kind of started rushing my putts. Wasn't really committing. But I'll leave these in there because even though they're terrible, it is useful for me. Because, again, point of this video is more for me than for anybody else. You know, just learning some software. It's good to watch your own form. I recommend filming your own form any chance you get. You can always find little things to tweak. You also got to remember at some point to just accept your form the way it is and just do the best you can with what you have. Woo! And that was my ruin again. Great disc. Really thought I gave that a chance. And I'm actually flicking a ruin here. And I just didn't give it quite the height I wanted to. I think this would be a fun hole to Annie flick ace. Maybe next time. Backhand takes the lead back. Hole 17, the other bomber hole on the course. So I grab my faro. Ripped it pretty good. I'm not going to lie, I thought it was going to be a little closer than it is. I'm left with probably about a 40-footer, so probably right around that 400-foot range. Alright, and here I'm flicking my other faro. Just trying to hyzer flip it up. And got a little higher than I wanted, but it's still pretty far down there, so I was all right with that. All right, so somehow I missed my upshot from the forehand side. This is my putt from that drive. Like I said, it wasn't as close as I wanted it, but it was close enough that I should have given it a better bid than that. There you go. Tapping it in. Tapping it in. All right. So at this point, I'm stoked that the camera was even still running. Because it had been some time since it had told me 10%. And yet, it makes it all the way to hole 18. This is my Legacy Valor. It's right now my favorite mid. That's what it does if you commit to your angle. And that was a beautiful shot. 280 foot, just mid-range anhyzer. That's the play for this hole. Does bring a lot of OB into play. If you want to play it safe, you flick.
We're putting.
Just didn't 100% commit that time. But I had a putt. and I drained it. Really happy with that putt. It's always good to go out on a good putt. Ah, I think that was the forehand. I think the other one was the backhand line. Boo. So, there you have it. Backhand beats forehand this time. Thanks for watching. Next time, I'll do backhand versus forehand with another member of Team BobbyGitr. So, look forward to that coming up. Also some other fun videos because why not? Alright guys, keep it spicy.